Okay. Okay.
All right.
And Bushra also is here.
Hello.
Hello. Oh, hi, Busra. Long time no see. Hi, Michelle.
Hello.
Hey, Boostra.
Yes.
Assalamualaikum, everybody that's joined since I stepped away for a bit.
Alaikum salam, Ghassan, welcome again.
Hello.
Busra, they're funny.
Sorry?
You're funny with that picture.
Thank you.
With what?
How have you been? Haven't seen you for so
I'm
long.
good, thank you. Just the pandemic and all. I'm having online classes. How about you? How are you doing?
Oh, it's good. Busy, but you know, it's a little crazy. So that's why our little friends group is off for a while. It'll come back on eventually, don't worry.
Call to order, everyone. Somehow I muted myself. I don't know how I did that, but here we go. So welcome. Here we a while ago, Hello emailed me and said, we'd like to do a Rumi, I think I suggested a Rumi night with poetry. And here we are, a mystical night, Rumi and Friends. And just to quote Rumi, your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. And just to remind those who are not as familiar with Rumi, I may say this incorrectly, if Jalal ad-Din Muhammad Rumi, also known as Jalal ad-Din Muhammad Bakal, and more popularly simply as Rumi, was a 13th century Persian poet, an Islamic scholar, and a Sufi mystic originally from Greater Khorasan in Greater Iran. Yes, and now we come to Murat. Remember, meet yourself, please. Yeah.
Yes, my name is Murat. I'm attending from Ottawa. I'm also board of directory of the Intercultural Dialogue Institute in Ottawa. Thank you for inviting me to this beautiful event. I'm very happy to be with you. And then now tonight, I'm just trying to performance with my knee. This is a very authentic and very old instrument for us in Middle East and Anatolia area. And this instrument has, maybe we can say, reed flute. It's very unique and it's a very beautiful sound. And also it's very old instrument. And it's very, very close to the Rumi all around the world. If you talk about the Rumi or Mevlana, and you will probably find a lot of details and a lot of information about the ney, because the first poem, I think, on the Rumi, you start with the ney, and there's a lot of connection with the Rumi and the ney as well. So yeah, let me start and play some improvisational the part, and then if I have a time, and then I can do a little bit the well-known parts, the well-known song, and then you will be good to go. All right. This is the introduction or improvisation of the Sabah, and then I'm gonna continue with the 2 or 2.5 minutes, the well-known song from the Ömer Faruk Tekbilik, and then I will finish it.
Thank you, Murat. Thank you. And I'd like to take this time to acknowledge the territories we gather for worship. We honor with the thanks the Huron-Wendat, Métis Nation of Ontario, Mississaugas, the New Credit First Nation, and Mississaugas of Scugagahan First Nations, and Six Nations of the Grand River as their community partners and traditional inhabitants to the lands of the City of Toronto, region of Hamilton, Durham region, and surrounding areas. May we be connected to the heartbeat of the Spirit as one. That's a wee bit of our overview of our program. It gives us a sense of who we are and where we're going. And now we come to, sorry if I misspelled your name, Busra. Busra. Welcome. Shalom Aleichem. And over to you.
Thank you. I'm the smallest student of UFT. I'm a Ryerson student.
There we go. Sorry about that. Okay.
It's all right. And I don't have H in my name, but it's fine.
Okay.
Just need the music.
So, Busra, are you showing a movie?
No.
Okay, you don't need we should have made you co-host, right? So you can share a sound? Probably we should have done that. Sorry. Just want to make it easy for you. Okay.
Okay.
We make you yeah, sir. Okay, we'll make you co-host, yeah. It just makes you, because I hear sound, it makes it better with your sound.
It's fine.
Okay, and good. Okay. And co-host. Good. Okay. Great.
Listen, don't be sad. Don't be sad if people have broken your heart. Remember God's command. I am in broken hearts. Then why do you grieve, my friend? If it is your wish to shine as bright as daylight, then burn down your night dark ego. You say, I have a problem. Problems are the means that take you to God. Don't lose your hope. Remember Joseph. Wherever there is pain, healing will go. Wherever there is poverty, blessing will go. Wherever the question arises, the answer will be given. Wherever the ship is, there will be water. Look for water. Find the thirst in you and own it. Only then water will appear from all around you. La tahsan, don't be sad. Neither fits the sea in a river, nor the ocean into the sea. You can't explain someone who never really has fallen in love about you and me. La tahsan, don't be sad. Don't be sad because you broke your foot. Maybe God is going to give you wings instead. Don't be sad because you fell at the bottom of the well. Remember, Joseph got out of the well and became the king of Egypt. Why do you grieve? Don't give up at the point where everything comes to its limits and you can't stand it, because that's the point where everything will change. God sends hope in the most desperate moments. Don't forget, the heaviest rain comes out of the darkest clouds. Look at these flying birds. They don't plant or harvest anything. God, who takes care of their daily meal, is not going to neglect you, as long as you know how to ask for it. The door will open. Just know how to knock it. If you ask when, I can't tell you, but don't be hopeless. As long as you know how to wait at the door, it will open. Another name for love is patience. If you show patience in hunger, it becomes fasting. If you show patience in pain, it becomes steadiness. If you are patient with people, it becomes tolerance. If you're patient with your wishes, they become prayers. If you're patient with your feelings, they become tears. If you're patient in waiting, it becomes longing. If you're patient in love, it becomes an eternal fire. La tahsan, don't be sad. With every hardship, there is ease. So ease is hidden in hardship. In other words, ease is the way of hardship. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you. 1 second. I will bear with me and go spotlight. Just going to stop sharing the screen for a second so I can find. I'm going to share with you now from John Philip Newell a portion of his teachings, Wisdom on Pandemic. I'll just show you. He's a theologian, musician, and poet from Iona community in Scotland. Oh, you know what? I just realized I've got to go so you can actually see it. I'm going to go into this and get a share. Yeah, that's good.
Welcome to our garden in Edinburgh, where I'm in conversation with my son Cameron, where we're asking, how do we access wisdom in the midst of the pandemic? And also asking, how shall we choose to live beyond the pandemic? That is, what are the things that we will be wanting to change, both individually and collectively? And we're speaking specifically about the context of the pandemic, but also in the context of the many struggles and sufferings that are happening now in our world, between races, between nations, between peoples. Every week we've been drawing on a great teacher before us and asking if they were with us now, what might they say to us? Today I'm going to be drawing from the wisdom of a young Jewish woman in the Netherlands, Etty Hillesum, who lived and died during the Nazi occupation of her homeland. Etty, as a very young woman in her 20s, witnessed the rounding up of her people into ghettos before being sent to transit camps before the long journey to Auschwitz. During these years, Etty kept a diary, writing a diary at exactly the same time as Anne Frank was keeping her diary. Etty saw her own diary as a type of dialogue with God. In fact, that was very much how she saw her life, as a dialogue with God. And by God, she meant that unnameable presence at the very heart of our being, that sacredness deep within us all. The dialogue for Etty in part was how to release that deepest dimension within us and one another. There are two things that particularly strike me in Etty's diary. One is that in the midst of the horror of what was happening to her people and the way her own life was therefore under threat, it was her practice when she was still living in Amsterdam during those final days to spend time gazing out of her window at a beautiful blossoming jasmine. And then when she was in the transit camp in Westerbork, it was her practice often to go to the fence of the camp and gaze across the fields at the yellow blossoming.
There we are. And I just want to share also from Hildegard of Bingen. Glance at the sun and see the moon, and stars and gaze the beauty of earth's greening. A medieval mystic, and also Magnificat of Magdeburg, who wrote these words: "A fish cannot drown in water, a bird cannot fall in air. In the fire of creation, God does not vanish. The fire brightens each creature, and God made must live in its own true nature. How can I resist God and the oneness of God?" And now we call on our wonderful Joanne to lead us in a poem about the labyrinth. And I'm going to just highlight Joanne and spotlight Joanne. And can you unmute yourself, Joanne? Great. Okay, wonderful.
Thank you so much.
I'm going to spotlight you, Joanne, 1 second.
Okay.
I'm going to spotlight you. Bear with me. I'm pushing your. Oh, there we are. Spotlight. There we go. Nice. Joanne's nice and big. Great. Perfect.
Okay. Well, thank you for this opportunity. I'm going to turn this so that you can see this labyrinth, because the poem I'm going to read is about walking the labyrinth and entering the petal at the center. And if everyone probably knows about the labyrinth, I'm not going to have to. Anyway, you will see it. Here it is. And I'll try to, there. Is that clear for everyone to see?
Yes.
Okay. So this poem is called Entering the Six-Petaled Flower. So this in the center is the six-petaled flower. So I'm going to begin. On the winding way in, I breathe the words, I long, am longing, I long. In the center, I linger on each petal of the ancient six-petaled flower from left to right. The rock and mineral petal is here. I long for the strength, the pulse of permanence, the holding and keeping of the archives, the ancient records. I long for the aegis, the endurance, the steadfast underwriting of our beings. In the plant petal, I long for the grace and resilience, the cycle of renewal, the sureness of revival. I long for the beauty, the nutrients, the healing, the bounty, and for the poetry, symmetry, the symphony of marsh and wood. Moving to animal, I long for the legacy of animals, their lives lived in partnership with their land and sea, and their autonomy, their teaching, their provenance and domain. In the human petal, I long for the upward call, for compassion, community, and conscience, and for sisterhood and brotherhood, respectful and strong, loving without agenda. Angelic, the angelic petal, I long for light-filled uplifting, for intervention for the highest good, and for communion and communication. The divine mystery petal, I long for the felt presence of the Creator, moving through the dark waters, within and without. Stepping to the center, pausing, absorbing the wholeness here, and breathing on my winding return path. I belong to this. I belong. Am belonging. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne. And now I'd like to share a piece from over a century in Africa, almost 2 centuries ago. Christmas had become a forgotten part of culture, and Dickens wrote a tale of a man who was absorbed with material gain. We know him as Scrooge. And he had a warning one night. A friend, he says, "Don't do as I did." And he was visited by 3 ghosts, past, Christmas present, and Christmas future. And from this, Scrooge experienced grace and transformation and realized life needed to be about giving to others who had need. And when he found this out, he said, "I don't know what to do," cried Scrooge, laughing and crying in the same breath, and making a perfect lagoon of himself with his stockings. "I am as light as a feather. I'm as happy as an angel. I'm as merry as a schoolboy. I'm as giddy as a drunken man. A Merry Christmas, everybody. A Happy New Year to all the world. Halloo, whoop, halloo. And God bless us, everyone." And now we get to hear from one of our musicians, if I say his name correctly, Suleiman Ertugal. And where is Suleiman? Is Suleiman on screen? You're muted. Suleiman, can you unmute yourself? Hello, is Suleiman here?
Suleiman is not here.
I don't
Oh,
think
sorry.
it's,
Oh,
No,
that's the pre-recorded one. Yes.
Yes,
Sorry.
yes.
Yeah, I just remembered now. Yes. Okay. Yes. Okay. That was my cue. Sorry. That was quite wonderful. And we now have the honor of hearing from Leonard Schwartz. And I'll highlight you, Leonard. Spotlight you so everyone can see your wonderful.
Hi. Okay. Can you hear me?
We can hear
Yes.
you.
Yes, we can hear you.
I thank you very much, especially to the organizers of this evening's program. It's a little melancholy hearing the Rumi and some of the readings. So I'm going to introduce you to a topic that is a little bit more hopeful, perhaps, because it's tomorrow night, Thursday night at sunset. Jewish people around the world celebrate the holiday of lights, the festival of lights that we call Hanukkah. And I'm just going to read a little section here that I wrote in preparation for this evening. Hanukkah is the Jewish wintertime festival of lights, celebrated with a nightly menorah lighting. This is a menorah. Oh, which way does it go? Yeah. So we have 8 lights and a helper light called the shamas here in the center. And so starting tomorrow night, we light this. And it lasts 8 days. We say special prayers and eat specific fried foods that I'll talk about in a minute. Hanukkah begins on the eve of the Hebrew date of the 25th of Kislev, the Hebrew month of Kislev. It's we follow the lunar calendar. On the civil or Gregorian calendar, it generally coincides with the month of December, although it has no relationship with the Christian holiday of Christmas that's also celebrated in that month. This year, Hanukkah 2020 runs from December 10th until the 18th. The Hebrew word Hanukkah means dedication because it celebrates the rededication of the Holy Temple in Jerusalem. This was actually the Israelites' second temple, which was built in the 6th century BCE, as we call it. BCE standing for before the Common Era. Jewish people don't typically say BC or AD as many Western people say, because those are Christian terms that relate to their Savior, Jesus, and Jewish people do not recognize Jesus as the Messiah. Anyway, so the second temple was built roughly 2,550 years ago, but it came under attack in the year 139 BCE, before the Common Era. The Holy Land at the time was ruled by the Seleucids, a Syrian-Greek allyship. They tried to force the Israelites to accept the Greek culture and gods and beliefs instead of the Jewish monotheistic belief. Against all odds, a small band of faithful but poorly armed Jews, led by Judah the Maccabee, a hero in our tradition, they defeated one of the mightiest armies on earth and drove the Greeks from the land, and reclaimed the Holy Temple and rededicated it to the service of God. When the Jews wanted to light the temple's menorah, which is our candelabrum, they found only a single container, a small container of ritually pure oil. They lit it, and miracle of miracles, that one day supply of oil lasted 8 days. So after that, to commemorate this occasion, the sages instituted the holiday of Hanukkah. And because oil plays a central theme in the holiday, we typically eat oily foods at this time of year. Delicious foods like latkes, which are fried potato pancakes, and sufganiot, which are fried donuts. Sorry, that's my alarm. And we also play a special game with a dreidel, which is like a 4-sided spinning top. And we give gifts to kids called Hanukkah Gelt, which are sweets and treats to reward them in the study of Torah, which is the Jewish Bible. I'd like to conclude with a quick song and a saying. This is a Hanukkah song. There are quite a few of them out right now, some a little bit irreverent, but this is a traditional song, and it goes like this. O Hanukkah, come light the menorah. Come to our party, we'll all dance the hora. Gather round the table, we'll give you a treat. Dreidels to play with and latkes to eat. And while we are playing, the candles are burning low. One for each night they shed a sweet light to remind us of days long ago. One for each night they shed a sweet light to remind us of days long ago. O Hanukkah, come light the menorah. Come to our party, we'll all dance the hora. Gather round the table, we'll give you a treat. Dreidels to play with and latkes to eat. And this is a quote by a famous rabbi that ties it all together, Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sacks, who recently passed away about a month ago. He was the chief rabbi of the United Kingdom. He wrote, "For though my faith is not yours and your faith is not mine, if we are each free to light our own flame, together we can banish some of the darkness of the world." That was Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sacks. And thank you very much for the opportunity. And now I'll pass it back to John Joseph.
Thank you, Leonard. Thank you. Leonard and I have shared
Hey,
many.
John Joseph, you're very quiet, your volume. We can't hear you much.
Turn it up. Can you hear me now? I speak louder?
Yeah.
That's good.
Yep,
Okay, we're
good.
back to our big room voice. Good. Now we over to, if I say your name wrong, please forgive me. Is it Gusan Zafar Iqbal? I did see you a second.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you loud.
Okay,
That's
yeah,
good.
that's perfectly fine. Thank you very much.
Okay, let me spotlight you, and there we go. Okay, there we go. Good.
Okay, thank you very much. So the poem I would like to read is by Allama Iqbal, and he is a poet from the South Asian subcontinent. He's actually quite a big fan of Rumi, and he was the 18th to 19th centuries. So I'd like to read a poem by him. First, hopefully in Urdu, and then I will read the English one. So, Khudi ka sar-e-neha, la ilaha illallah. Khudi hai tag, fasa, la ilaha illallah. ये दौर अपने इब्राहीम के तलाश में है, सनम खुदा है जहां, ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह. क्या है तूने मताए गुरूर का सौदा, फरेब सौदो ज़या, ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह. ये माल और दौलत दुनिया, ये रिश्ता ओ पेवंद, बुतन ए वहम ओ गुमान, ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह. खिर्द हुई है ज़मान व मकान की जुनारी, ना है ज़मान ना मकान, ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह. ये नगमा फसल ए गुल ओ लाला का नहीं पाबंद, बहार हो के खज़ां, ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह. अगरचे बुत हैं जमात की आस्तीनों में, मुझे है हुक्म अज़ान, ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह. So in English, the self's secret, its hidden ideal, no God but He alone. The self, a dull blade, God's oneness, the grinding stone. this age spent in search of an Abraham of our own. Where love's home is, there is no God but he alone. You have struck a deal for the goods of this world. In front of his oneness, only fraud and deceit is unfurled. This wealth and these riches, these ties of blood and friends, these idols, they mislead and cause doubt. Only God's oneness leads to beautiful ends. Reason, thought, both bounded by space and time, not space nor time, there is only the oneness of him. These songs of beauty are not constrained to when the roses or tulip bloom. Be it spring or be it fall, no God but he rings true. Even if sleeves of those who stand by conceal idols, the command to call, no God but he tolls. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Very powerful. Very powerful. And now we come to Vivian, who will share with us the Magnificat. And I'm going to spotlight you, Vivian. Okay.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm going to share with you the Magnificat from the Christian scriptures, or Christian Bible, which tells us how God is taking care of us. My soul magnifies the Lord, and my spirit rejoices in God, my Savior. For he has looked with favor on the lowliness of his servant. Surely, from now on, all generations will call me blessed. For the Mighty One has done great things for me, and holy is his name. His mercy is for those who fear him from generation to generation. He has shown strength with his arm. He has scattered the proud in the thoughts of their hearts. He has brought down the powerful from their thrones and lifted up the lowly. He has filled the hungry with good things and sent the rich away empty. He has helped his servant Israel in remembrance of his mercy. Thank you.
Thank you, Vivian. Thank
You're
you,
welcome.
Vivian. And I'm going to share from. Okay, we are. Okay. Okay. Oh, I'm not sure what I did, but we're all learning how to. Sorry if we're suddenly sharing screen, Gusan. I'm not sure what I did, but here we go. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I was wondering. I thought maybe I was being asked to do something.
No, it's just me learning. Oh, there. I think I navigated away. This is good. Okay. Oh, now I know how to do that. A piece I wanted to share tonight is T.S. Eliot wrote this many years ago. And T.S. Eliot, his journey was quite remarkable because he began life and for his first part of adult years was an atheist. And then he found faith later on. And his piece is The Magi. And some may know of the Magi and some may not, but some may know them as the wise men or wise people. And some may know them as the Zoroastrians of Persia. And in this poem, it speaks of their journey. A cold coming, we had of it, just the worst time of the year for a journey. And such a long journey, the ways deep and the weather sharp, the very dead of winter. And the camels, galled and sore-footed, refractory, lying down in the melting snow. And there were times we regretted. The summer palaces on slopes, the terraces, and the silken girls bringing sherbet. And then the camel, peoples cursing and grumbling and running away, and wanting their liquor and women, and the night fires going out, and the lack of shelters. And the cities hostile, the towns unfriendly, and the villages dirty and charging high prices. A hard time we had of it. And at that end, we preferred to travel all night, sleeping in snatches, with the voices singing in our ears, saying, that this was all folly. Then at dawn, we came down to a temperate valley, wet and below the snow line, smelling of vegetation, with a running stream and a watermill beating the darkness, and 3 trees on low sky, and an old white horse galloped away in the meadow. And then we came to a tavern with the vine leaves over the lintel, and 6 hands at an open door dicing for pieces of silver, and the feet kicking the empty wineskins. But there was no information, and so we continued. And arriving at evening, not a moment too soon, finding the place, it was, you might say, satisfactory. And all this was a long time ago. I remember I would do it again, but set down, this where we led all the way for birth or death. There was a birth, certainly, and we had evidence of no doubt. I had seen birth and death, but thought they were different. The birth was hard and bitter agony for us, like death, our death. We returned to our places, these kingdoms, but no longer at ease, the old dispensation, with alien people clutching their gods. I should be glad of another death. Just remove my spotlight. I shared that because it's the tale of the Magi, and it's the tale of I always love telling the story. It's the Zoroastrians going to meet the Jewish baby, and Christians tell the story later on. And it's remarkable how when we come together from many places, we weave our stories together. And I think of Joanne, who told the story of the labyrinth. And just to expand, the labyrinth is found on every continent, going back thousands of years. It tells us that there was an older story that maybe we've forgotten. And it's about centering, meditation, about discovering that sense of sacredness. And as Joanne was sharing about the 6 petals, it also represents the 6 days of creation, and the center is the day of rest. And in this season, as we heard Leonard speak of light, and we think of our Hindu brothers and sisters who have the season of Diwali and also solstice, we think of light right now, the light that we all bring tonight. And it is a great gift that we share tonight. And hello, as a man who said, John Joseph, do you want to have a mystical poetry? Do you want to maybe say a word or two?
Thank you, John. You said everything. Thank you so much for helping us and making this happen. And thank you everyone who joined us this evening. It was spiritual. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. And we'll say, have a blessed evening and go with God. Amen. Salam alaikum.
Amen. Thank you, John,
Thank you.
Joseph, and Camille. This is a wonderful evening. Very prayerful and
Thank you for everyone who contribute and who spent time with us.
Thank you. Blessings. Bye-bye. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
To hear.